Welcome to Wednesday in the Word. This is a look through the Bible where we look at each book of the Bible. Where are we at today, Philip?
The book of Proverbs.
Proverbs.
I am Proverbs.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
That's what you do.
Mm-hmm.
There's a commercial about it. Yeah.
But we're in Proverbs, and Solomon wrote the book of Proverbs.
He did.
There's quite a few of them. I don't know how many, but there's a lot. And what you had mentioned earlier to me is it's like our version of fortune cookies.
It's the Christian fortune cookie. That's what I talked about.
And man, most of these fortune cookies today, they're not even fortunes.
They're not. I got a fortune cookie down in Bloomington one time, and you know what it said?
What?
You will be hungry soon.
That's
Order
great.
takeout.
That
He's
great.
absolutely right. I will be.
Yes, that is great. But the book of Proverbs is literally just good godly wisdom.
Yeah.
You can spend a long time in the book of Proverbs.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of, you see Solomon kind of writing this to young people in the beginning of his book. He's talking about really how young people should, not, get with, a bunch of women, to watch out, to not be adulterers, those types of things. He's also talking about don't be foolish, but be wise.
Yeah.
All those things. And then what we'll read today is obviously we'll dive even deeper than just this kind of human wisdom that we like. But we'll see kind of Solomon talk about much higher wisdom.
And it's, you look at this and the guy and what he wrote, and it's like, if you want to know how to get it right, or at least get it, obviously Jesus, but how to live a godly lifestyle from go, Book of Proverbs is the book for you to understand it.
And just to kind of help us out, just remember you can go back and look at 2 Samuel, all those things that we talked about previously in these Wednesdays studies. But he asked God for wisdom.
Yeah.
He wanted to know. He wanted to understand. And God gave him much more than that because he asked for such a humble thing, really, as wisdom. And God made him wise.
Yeah.
He was the wisest person to ever live. People would come to him, foreign leaders and all that would come to him for wisdom. And I think that's a huge piece. So, and then he writes this book pretty early on in his reign. Of all these different types of proverbs, all these different types of wisdom, and it's really just a cool book. You can almost flip it open.
Yeah,
like let's see what Proverb 37 says, or some of those types of things. And I've had moments where I've look. I said, let's look at a proverb. Let's see what Proverb says. And actually, a lot of messages that I've looked. Oh wow, there's a proverb that just kind of helps me understand something a little bit deeper. Mm-hmm. And even the book of James talks about this kind of comparison between godly wisdom and worldly wisdom. Mm-hmm. Worldly wisdom lasts for a moment, it fades away.
Not even really wisdom, to be honest.
A lot of times it's not wisdom, it's not really a whole lot of anything. But there's good things to know in the world and types of things.
Yeah.
But godly wisdom outweighs all of them by miles.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Tons. And it's a treasure. And I think this is what we're kind of talking about when we read this passage, is wisdom is more of a treasure than we realize. Yeah. And that's what we get from the book of Proverbs. But Phil, why don't you read Proverbs 1 through 7?
Sure. It says, "The beginning of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, to know wisdom and instruction, to perceive the words of understanding, to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity, to give prudence to the simple, to the young man knowledge and discretion. A wise man will hear and increase learning, and a man of understanding will attain wise counsel. To understand a proverb and an enigma, the words of the wise and their riddles." Verse 7, "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction."
So Phil, what do you make of this?
Basically, you can... It kind of defines and separates what a wise man is like and what a foolish man is like. And if you go through any one of these verses, to know wisdom and instruction is to perceive the words of understanding. Okay, well, to not do that would be foolish. Mm-hmm. And he goes to receive the instruction of wisdom, justice, judgment, and equity. To not do that would be foolish. Mm-hmm. And he's giving you a list of things that it takes. In verse 5, I love, he says, "A wise man will hear and increase learning, and a man of understanding will attain wise counsel." Yeah. A wise man will hear and increase learning. He's not talking about everything in the world. He's not talking about the fads and the things that the world says are important. He's not talking about the latest and greatest podcast. He's not talking about the new study and development of a certain product or line or whatever. He's talking about godly wisdom, because he says at the tail end of that verse, and will attain wise counsel. There ain't no wise counsel outside of God's family. There's not. Now, there's people that know what they're doing. There's millionaires and billionaires because they're financial gurus and what have you, but that's not what Solomon's talking about.
Yeah.
He says very clearly that if we want to be wise, and verse 7 says the best, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but fools despise wisdom and instruction.
Yeah.
The beginning, or the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. When do we first fear the Lord? When we get saved.
Yeah.
When we understand that. But fools despise wisdom and instruction. So, I mean, I can't explain it any better than what he did right here.
Absolutely.
And I can't do it.
And, this is what I get from that. And that's kind of the verse that we're really kind of looking at is to fear the Lord is the beginning of knowledge and wisdom and why, and fools despise it. They don't want to know godly wisdom. They don't want to discern what is right and just and fair and all those things. According to what God has said.
Yeah.
And this is what I get when he says to fear the Lord is the beginning. We have to fear the Lord to begin to understand what godly wisdom is. We have to know who God is.
Yep.
We have to know that his understanding is much higher than mine. His wisdom is much higher than mine. His knowledge, all those things that we see throughout Proverbs and Psalms and all these other books that are written of how much God knows more than we do. And this is kind of what even Solomon describes in a lot of his Proverbs, is the idea that to know anything, you first have to know God.
Yeah.
You do. To know anything true, anything worthy, anything, profitable.
Yeah.
You first have to know God. And that starts with the fear of the Lord.
And it does. I mean, you look back at either one of our old lives and we thought we knew, we thought we were smart, we thought we were intelligent on certain things, then we get saved and we're like, why did I even know that in the first place? It's worthless.
Yeah.
I mean, Paul says it too.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's like, oh, it's what? For what? I did all these things for what? It's not worth anything.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a good, I like that picture, Phil, of Paul literally saying, I was this guy.
Yeah.
I knew everything, really. Compared to what I was supposed to know, I knew it. I was a Benjamite. I was the guy.
I was the guy.
I was the guy.
Yeah.
And then he says there towards the end of that whole piece is, now I consider all garbage.
Yeah.
It's worthless. It means nothing because I have a much higher knowledge and a much higher understanding through the Holy Spirit. And that's what we get when we know God, when we know Jesus Christ.
That's right.
And to know Him is to have Him.
Yeah.
And I think that's so important. And like I said, I'd encourage anyone, just read through them. Read through the book of Proverbs. You'll find yourself going back.
Yeah.
That's what I always find. So Phil, give us your final thoughts about the book of Proverbs.
I'll tell you, do yourself a favor, like Phil said, read through it, check it out, learn it, see what God has for you. There's a lot of little nuggets in here that you're like, wow, who'd have thunk it? I didn't know that was in here. I didn't see that. But verse 7 says it best: the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge, but don't be a fool. Don't despise wisdom and godly instruction. You could be going through a lot of things in your life. You don't have to go through them alone. First seek the Lord, and it says in I don't know what 5, and a man of understanding will attain wise counsel. Seek godly brothers and sisters, people that can help you out with things. It's what God says to do. That's what Solomon was writing about. It's how the Spirit moved him to do it. So you should do it too. Yeah, absolutely. And what I would say, just to add to that, is He's given us wisdom. Yeah. Read it. Yeah. Read it. So this has been a look through the Bible. Tune in next week where we look at the book of Ecclesiastes. Yeah. Tough book. We'll get to it. It'll be fun. So thank you for listening. Like and subscribe. If you have a favorite proverb, write it down in the comments. We'd love to hear what your favorite proverb is. So again, thank you for listening and watching. And as always, I forgot it again. It's okay. I do it all the time. Thank you for listening. To Kingdom Faith. See you guys.